The impossible arrival. Suspense hook. The galaxy had rules, old rules, strict rules, unbreakable rules. And the greatest rule of all was simple. No living species should survive in 1G gravity. It crushed bones, destroyed organs, and killed every creature that tried to evolve under its weight. Every alien civilization accepted this as universal truth. Every scientist agreed. Every record confirmed it. That truth ended the moment the unknown ship entered their space. Deep inside the Zeltrin science station, alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed across the ceiling as hundreds of screens filled with unreadable data. Dr. Vorkel, the chief xenobiologist, ran across the control deck, staring at the impossible readings. His long fingers trembled as he slammed his hand over the main console. "Run it again," he ordered. "We already ran it 8 times, the assistant replied, voice shaking. "The numbers don't change." Vorkel leaned closer to the screen. A small silver ship drifted in the void, slow and calm. Nothing about its movement looked dangerous. It did not hide. It did not attack. But its origin code. Earth. Classified gravity world. 1G. Vorkel felt a cold shock run through his body. This cannot be real. A 1G world cannot support life. It is impossible. The ship continued its soft glide toward their station. Inside the central bridge, the Zeltrin officers whispered among themselves. Fear filled the room like thick smoke. What if it's a weapon? What if it's an AI decoy? What if the readings are wrong? No one wanted to say the real fear out loud. What if something survived 1G? The director of the station, Elder Krentor, stepped forward. His voice carried authority, but even he sounded unsure. Send a communication signal. Demand identification. The officer sent the signal. 10 long seconds passed. Then 20. Then 30. No answer. Krentor clenched his jaw. Open the outer doors. Let it dock. The entire bridge gasped. Sir, if something evolved on a 1G world, we don't know what it can do. That is why we must see it with our own eyes, Krentor said. We cannot remain blind. The metal doors of Docking Bay 3 unlocked with a heavy groan. The unknown ship drifted in slowly and landed with a soft metallic thud. It made no aggressive movement. It simply waited. A team of 40 soldiers surrounded the bay entrance, armor shaking slightly as they held their weapons. No alien soldier had ever faced something from a 1G death world. They didn't even know what to expect. A monster? A giant? A creature made of stone? The ship door hissed open. A bright white mist drifted into the air. The soldiers raised their weapons, hearts pounding. Slowly, a shadow moved inside the fog. One figure stepped out. Not a giant. Not a beast. Not a creature made of metal or bone. Just a human. Average height. Calm face. Simple clothes. A relaxed posture. He looked normal. The soldiers stood frozen. Their breathing quickened. Their targeting lasers shook against the walls. The human looked around the large metallic chamber, confused but friendly. Hello, he said quietly. The translators flickered. The aliens stared. No one moved. No one expected the creature to speak. No one expected it to sound peaceful. The human raised his hand slowly in a polite wave. My name is Daniel Hayes. I come from Earth. The soldiers stepped back. Some stumbled. Some nearly dropped their weapons. If the readings were correct, his bones were strong enough to crush their armor. His muscles could tear steel. His body could survive forces that would kill every alien in the station. He spoke again, voice calm. I come in peace. Dr. Vorkel stepped forward, shaking so hard he could barely stand. Why you? You are from a planet with 1 gravity. Daniel blinked. Yes, that's normal for us. The entire room erupted in gasps. Vorkel swallowed hard. No species should survive 1G. Your kind should be extinct. Daniel chuckled softly. Extinct? No, no. 1G is just home. The soldiers felt their blood freeze. A creature who lived comfortably under forces that could kill them instantly. A being who evolved under pressure that crushed worlds. A species that called a death world home. If this was just one human, what were the rest like? Daniel looked around again, still casual. Is everything okay? You all look scared. No one answered him. No one dared. Inside the control deck above the bay, Krentor watched in total silence. His lips trembled as he whispered, "If this is the weakest human, then the galaxy is not ready." Daniel smiled gently, unaware of the fierce storm spreading around him. And that was the moment every alien on the station realized a terrifying truth. Humans were not impossible. Humans were unstoppable. The galaxy had just met a species born in a world that tried to kill them every day. And if they could survive that, they could survive anything. The council that feared 1G. The Galactic Council chamber was silent when Commander Velos entered. 37 species sat around the circular hall, their eyes fixed on the floating hologram in the center. A human man standing calmly under 1G gravity, a force considered lethal by almost every species present. Velos walked slowly to his seat, his claws clicking on the polished black floor. He could feel the tension in the room. Every species smelled fear differently, but right now, the chamber reeked of it. He cleared his throat. "Counselors, I witnessed something that should not be possible." Whispers exploded instantly, loud and panicked. The creature survived 1G. Impossible. No bones should endure that pressure. It must be a machine. Velos slammed his hand on the table, and the chamber went quiet again. It was not a machine. It was organic. It was human. The word human had become a rumor, a ghost story, a name spoken only in warnings. Most species believed humans were either extinct or exaggerated legends from the Outer Rim. Counselor Draven, an insectoid scholar, leaned forward. "You expect us to believe an organic species lives naturally under 1 gravity? Commander, our strongest soldiers collapse at 0.4G. Velos didn't blink. "I expect you to believe what I saw." He tapped the table, and the hologram replayed the moment. The humans stepping out of the airlock. The gravity meter spiking to 1.0G. The humans smiling, as if nothing was wrong. A low, fearful hiss filled the room. Counselor Shori, a serpentine diplomat, coiled nervously. "If this is real, then humans are dangerous." Velos shook his head. "You don't understand. Dangerous is too small a word." He remembered the human's voice, calm, friendly, even warm. "We call it home." That one sentence repeated in Velos's mind like a warning bell. He continued, "This creature is not only surviving 1G. It is comfortable. Which means everything we know about biology, strength, and survivability is wrong." The council members shifted uncomfortably. The air felt heavy. Draven protested again, wings vibrating anxiously. "No species can evolve like that. High gravity crushes bodies. High gravity melts organs. High gravity creates humans," Velos interrupted. Silence again. This time colder. He turned to the projection and zoomed in on the human's posture. The relaxed shoulders. The steady breathing. No sign of strain. Counselor Shori spoke softly. "What does a creature adapted to such gravity do when it is threatened?" No one answered, because everyone already knew. A species strong enough to laugh under lethal pressure. A species whose bones didn't break, whose muscles didn't collapse, whose heart didn't fail. A species that evolved under the most violent conditions known to the Council. Would not just fight. It would dominate. Velos folded his arms. His voice grew lower. "You want the truth? I think humans are not just strong. I think they are built for war." A cold wave spread through the room. "No," Shori whispered. "They cannot be warborn. That would make them apex." Velos finished the sentence. The word rippled through the council like a shockwave. Apex species were the kind that reshaped galaxies. The kind that conquered, not negotiated. The kind that survived extinction events that wiped out entire star clusters. Commander, Draven said, trembling. Are you suggesting that humans could survive even higher gravity? Velos looked around the hall. Every pair of eyes watched him in absolute dread. I am suggesting, he said slowly, that humans might be holding back. The chamber shook with alarmed whispers. And then, the lights flickered. Every council member froze. The security alarm chimed once. A single, sharp tone. The human, Velos said, standing abruptly. What about him? Shori asked nervously. Velos looked toward the docking bay doors. He is walking toward this chamber. The room fell into pure silence. 37 species. 1 human. All under 1G gravity. And only one of them was comfortable. The walk through the death hall. The heavy doors of the Galactic Council chamber trembled as the security system announced. Unidentified human approaching. Gravity level, 1G. Every council member tensed. Some crouched low. Some wrapped their limbs around their chairs. A few pressed emergency alarms under the table. The fear was not irrational. No species in the entire chamber could remain standing in 1G without support. Except the one approaching. The human's footsteps. Down the metallic corridor, the sound echoed. Slow. Calm. Steady. Clank. 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 The sound was terrifying because it did not carry struggle. It carried confidence. Councillor Shori whispered. He walks as if gravity does not touch him. Councillor Draven corrected softly, wings trembling, not as if, it truly does not. Velos stood. He had seen the human up close. He knew this quiet walk was more frightening than any weapon. Not a monster. Something worse. The chamber doors slid open with a loud hiss. And the human stepped inside. Tall, broad-shouldered, eyes sharp but friendly. No armor. No weapons. Only a simple jumpsuit marked with a blue patch. Earth, Exploration Corps. But the council chamber reacted as if a supernova had walked into the room. A few delegates collapsed under pressure. Others clung to their seats, gasping. Weak species fainted instantly. The human looked around in surprise. Oh, sorry, he said, raising his hands. Is this too much gravity for you guys? His voice was warm, friendly, but that only added to the terror. A being that could kill every species in the room by simply standing there was apologizing. Velos swallowed hard. Human, please, slow your steps. The force you create disturbs their balance. Oh, the human said quickly. Got it. He shifted his weight carefully, trying to move more softly. But even then, every footstep shook the floor slightly. A deadly experiment. Draven, still trembling, asked, Human, how are you alive? The human blinked. Alive? At 1G? That's normal for me. I grew up like this. The chamber erupted into panicked whispers. Grew up? Under 1 gravity. No creature can evolve under that. This is impossible. The human smiled politely, confused by the panic. Velos stepped forward carefully. Human, some of our species collapse at 0.3G. Several faint at 0.5G. And 1G is considered instant fatality for most council biology. The human paused. His smile faded, replaced by shock. You mean, you guys can't handle this? At all? Handle? Draven gasped. We cannot survive it. The human raised an eyebrow. But, this is the gravity of my home planet. The chamber froze. Many species had studied Earth before, but the old records were dismissed as impossible, corrupted, or exaggerated. Now the truth stood right in front of them. A living specimen of a death world. The realization. Slowly, fear turned into horror. If a species evolved under 1 gravity, their bones would be dense like steel. Their muscles would be thick and compact. Their reflexes would be sharp. Their organs would be stronger than most machines. Humans were not just another species. They were a survival engine, born under pressure that would kill anyone else. Velos spoke softly, Human. What else is normal for your kind? The human answered casually. Well, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, wild animals trying to eat us, freezing winters, burning summers, diseases. I mean, Earth's pretty rough. The room nearly stopped breathing. Shori whispered, shaking, this species should be extinct. And yet, Draven croaked, they walk. Velos stared at the human, realizing something chilling. Humans did not survive Earth. Humans adapted to Earth. A dangerous curiosity. The human stepped closer to the hologram table. Wow, is this your council? Looks high-tech. Half the delegates screamed. Others flinched. A few fainted again. Velos shouted, stop! Do not come closer. You will crush the weaker ones. The human froze. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to scare anyone. The fear in the room deepened. He didn't mean to scare them. But everything about him was terrifying. The spine-breaking question. The human looked around curiously. Hey, I'm still confused about something. Velos exhaled shakily. What is it? The human tilted his head. If 1G is death level for all of you, how do your war troops train? How do your soldiers get stronger? The entire room fell silent. Training? Stronger? Their war troops trained at 0.2G to avoid breaking their own bones. They weren't strong. They were fragile. Velos finally answered, voice trembling. We do not train under high gravity. We cannot. The human's eyes widened. Wait, so, are you telling me? He looked around the room. That all of you are fighting wars at baby gravity. The council didn't know whether to be insulted or terrified. Velos whispered, this meeting is no longer diplomatic. It is survival. And for the first time, the human stopped smiling. His expression turned serious, as if he finally understood what he was dealing with. The fear behind the council doors. The council chamber remained frozen. Dozens of alien species stared at the human as if he were a living disaster. Not angry, not dangerous by intent, but dangerous simply by existing. The human stood still, afraid to move even one step. Velos could feel the pressure in the room. Even the air seemed heavier. He gently raised a trembling claw. Human, please. Sit. Slowly. The smaller species cannot handle you standing. The human nodded. Oh, of course. He moved toward the reinforced chair placed at the center for large species. Even that metal creaked slightly as he sat. A few delegates covered their ears in fear. When he stopped moving, the atmosphere loosened. Not by much, but enough for the fainted delegates to regain consciousness. Draven whispered, your world, your gravity, your storms, your animals, even your diseases. Are you truly from a planet like that? The human nodded quietly. Yes. Earth made us tough, I guess. Tough. The word echoed like a joke in the chamber. Tough was when a soldier trained under 0.4G for survival. Tough was when a species survived a mild winter freeze. But Earth's natives? They fought cold storms that could kill ships. They lived through heat fires that melted metal. They survived predators with teeth longer than council daggers. The human did not realize it yet, but the council did. Humanity was built on a world that tried to kill them every day. And they adapted. The political panic. Councillor Shori spun toward Velos. We cannot allow this species to move freely. They are too strong. Too unpredictable. Councillor Draven hissed. Imagine their soldiers. Imagine their armies. Imagine their ships. They might not even need armor. Another delegate cried out. Gravity alone will crush us if they enter our planets. Fear rose like a storm. But Velos raised his hand sharply. Enough. This human has not attacked anyone. You are panicking without cause. Shori pointed toward the human with shaking claws. He does not need to attack. He simply exists. One misstep and half this chamber dies. The human looked down in embarrassment. Guys, I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just came for the meeting. His voice was soft, apologetic. That scared the council even more. A being that could unintentionally kill them with a footstep was apologizing for existing. The gravity shock test. A tall robotic drone entered the chamber, carrying a smooth black sphere the size of a melon. Velos frowned. What is that? The scientist beside him answered nervously. A gravity testing core, counselor. It measures survivability under pressure levels. Shori ordered. Test the human. We must understand what we are dealing with. The drone floated toward the human and activated the test. The sphere glowed green. 0.5 G. Most delegates already looked uncomfortable. 1 G. The council winced. Bones cracked. A lesser species fainted again. The human looked bored. The drone raised the pressure. 1.5 G. Half the chamber grabbed their chairs in pain. The human casually scratched his chin. 2.0 G. A painful shriek rippled through the room. Shori slumped forward, gasping. Draven's wings sagged. But the human blinked and said, "Oh, that feels like carrying a heavy backpack. Not bad." The chamber froze. He wasn't struggling. He wasn't sweating. He wasn't even breathing hard. The drone increased the test. 2.5 G. The human's eyes widened. "Oh, now I feel it a little." Delegates stared in horror. A little? Most species would be liquid under 2.5 G. Velos whispered, "This is impossible." But the test wasn't finished. The drone went to maximum allowed by council safety systems. 3.0 G. The council screamed. A few collapsed. Emergency medics rushed in. But the human only leaned forward slightly, testing his fingers. "Hey," he said calmly. "This reminds me of training days on Earth." Training days. Training. Not torture. Not danger. Just training. Velos looked at the readings, stunned. This was not a warrior. This was a normal human. A regular Earth citizen. If this was their baseline, what were their actual soldiers like? What were their elites like? What were their modified warriors like? The room filled with dread. The council had accused Earth of weakness. They had tried to sanction it. They thought humans were fragile, soft, emotional creatures. But sitting in front of them was something entirely different. A species made by a monster planet. And they were still evolving. The terrifying question. The drone shut down, unable to push further without breaking. The council gasped for air. Medics carried out several fainted delegates. The human looked around nervously. Was that bad? Velos swallowed hard. No, human. That was enlightening. The human nodded, still confused. Do you want me to try higher gravity? I mean, back home some humans trained under. No. The entire chamber screamed together. The human froze. Velos exhaled, wiping cold sweat from his forehead. Human, your species is not what we expected. The human frowned. Is that a good thing? No one answered. Because everyone was thinking the same thing. Earth was not a threat. Earth was a warning. And the council had ignored it. Now they had to decide what to do with this knowledge. And with the humans. The council's terrifying decision. The council chamber felt broken. Delegates sat slumped in their seats. Medics hovered around the weaker species. Every face showed the same emotion. Fear. Pure, ancient fear. The human sat calmly in the reinforced chair, unaware of the storm he had sparked. Velos stepped forward and activated the private council line. A shimmering blue energy dome formed around the delegates, blocking the human from hearing. The human watched it rise but didn't move. He simply waited. That made it worse. A silent human was more terrifying than an angry one. Panic inside the dome. The moment the shield fully sealed, chaos exploded. We must ban Earth. We should declare them a Class 10 death species. No, Class 12. Maybe higher. They must never be allowed inside the council again. What if they invade us? Shori slammed her claws on the desk. You all saw it. A normal human withstood 3 times lethal gravity without losing consciousness. Imagine their military. Draven spread his trembling wings. If one human can do this, what can a trained squad do? What can a soldier do? What can an elite unit do? Another delegate cried out. What if this is only the beginning? What if they evolve further? Velos watched silently. He had expected fear. But this was much worse. This was the fear that leads to war. A dangerous proposal. A large reptilian war leader rose. His scales shifted to a red warning color. There is only one choice, he growled. Earth must be restricted, monitored, controlled. Several delegates nodded. Yes. Place them under technology limits. Prevent them from building more starships. Stop them before they grow even stronger. Velos felt cold. This discussion was turning towards something deadly. A smaller species squeaked nervously. And if they refuse? The reptilian leader's voice dropped to a dark whisper. Then we must unite. And destroy them. The chamber went silent. Even the medics froze. Destroy Earth? The idea alone was insane. But fear made people consider insane things. A voice of reason. Velos finally spoke. If we attack Earth, we will lose. Shori hissed. How can you say that? We are the Council. We control the galaxy. Velos pointed toward the human. A human who is not trained, not armed, not enhanced. Survived what would kill any warrior in this room. He took a shaky breath. If an ordinary human is that strong, what would their soldiers be like? Their special forces? Their champions? No one had an answer. Velos continued. And Earth survived its own monsters. If we attack them, we become their next challenge. His words struck the council like a cold wind. Some species stared at the human with fear. Others with respect. A few, with something new. Curiosity. The human moves. Suddenly, the human stood up. The reinforced chair groaned under the shift. The entire council screamed. He's moving. Stop him. Raise the shield higher. Do not let him close. But the human simply stretched his arms. Oh, sorry. I sat too long. My back was hurting. The delegates shivered. If stretching caused panic, what would a real action cause? The reptilian war leader snarled. See. Humans are unpredictable. Dangerous. They must be controlled before they dominate every species. Shori added. If we wait even one cycle, they may become unstoppable. Panic grew again. The council began voting screens inside the dome. Yes, restrict Earth. No, accept Earth as equals. The yes side lit up rapidly. One by one, red votes appeared. 10, 12, 15. Earth was moments away from becoming a controlled, restricted, possibly targeted species. Velo's heart pounded. He looked at the human, standing calmly outside the dome, looking confused, almost innocent. He remembered the human's first words. We call it home. Earth was not a monster planet to humans. It was where they learned to live. A species that survived such a world should not be provoked. Velos makes his choice. Velos stood tall and slammed his hand on his console. Stop. The red voting paused. Shori glared at him. Councillor Velos, you delay what must be done. Velos shook his head. You fear humans because you see their strength. But you forget something more important. The chamber waited. Velos looked at the human. They have shown us patience, courtesy, respect. They could crush this chamber by accident, yet they try not to. He pointed around the dome. What species here would show such restraint if they had that much power? Silence. Deep, uncomfortable silence. Velos continued. We should not fear Earth. We should learn from Earth. The voting screens flickered. Several red yes votes turned yellow. A few shifted to green. The chamber was now evenly split. One final vote could decide everything. The reptilian war leader snarled. You would trust a species that can kill us with a footstep. Velos answered calmly, yes, because they choose not to. The council dome dimmed. A message appeared. Voting undecided. Final decision in next session. But one thing was clear. Humanity's fate in the galaxy now hung by a single vote. And the human had no idea how close their species came to being declared a threat.